Hey everybody, and welcome back to Code Interpret. Let's have a look at question number 8. There is an existing deployment named API new C32 in the namespace Neptune. A developer did make an update to the deployment, but the updated version never came online. Check the deployment history and find a revision that works, then roll back to it. Could you tell Team Neptune what the error was so it doesn't happen again? Okay. Now, since we're going to be working on our local environment, we'll have to reconstruct the question, and let's make a couple of notes. Okay. So first of all, there's a team member who created a deployment, okay, by this name in the namespace Neptune, okay. And then he added some kind of an update, okay, and we don't know what the update was. And then because of that update in the deployment, it has been found that there is an error, okay. Now, the thing is that they want us to check the rollout history, okay, of the deployment and check how many revisions there are, and then debug the error. Once we've debugged the error, then we roll back to the version that is actually working, okay. So we need to roll back, we need to debug first, and then the last step would be to roll back to a version that is working, okay. So now to reconstruct the question, let's create a deployment. Let's call it red, and let's use the image Nginx. And let's say we have two replicas in the namespace called Neptune. Okay, so we don't have a namespace called Neptune. We'll have to create it. So now that we have the namespace created, we're going to create the deployment and check if it's working. Okay. All right. It just takes like a couple of seconds. It's preparing and starting the containers. All right. Now that we have everything running, we need to, I'm going to intentionally create an error, okay, because we don't know what the error is. Let's set the image of the deployment, and so by default the name of the container is Nginx. If you don't specify that in the configuration file and you're using an imperative command, what it does is that it takes the name of the image and uses that as the name of the container. Okay, so I'm just going to show you, and then let's update the image with like a wrong name, okay, in the namespace Neptune. It says resources were provided but no name was specified. Okay, yeah, we need to specify the name of the deployment. Okay, it's been updated. Let's check the deployment. It has a rolling strategy by default. Okay. What it does is that it terminates the previously running containers and then it recreates new ones. Okay. Let's check the pods. It tried to create one and it didn't work and it has an error. Okay, so it's going to keep the previous ones running. So let me just show you the name of the container. If you go up, If you go up and you come to the container name, it's nginx. So when we used the imperative command to create this deployment, we used the image name as nginx. Okay, so by default, it picked the name of the image and kept the same name as the name of the container. Okay, so that's why when we used the set image flag, the set image option, we were supposed to first mention the name of the container and then the new or newly set image name, okay, which is this. Now, okay, so this part of the question, this is where, okay, so this is what the question expects us to do, okay. We need to debug the error, and then we need to roll back to a version that was working before, okay. Now, first, we're gonna check the rollout history of the deployment called red in the namespace Neptune. Okay, so the name of the deployment in the question is this, API new. I just called it red. Okay, so you can call it whatever you want, but in the real question, you're gonna have to be working with a deployment called API new C32, okay? Okay, so we know that we have two versions, okay, and two revisions, and we know that the team member recently made an update and it's not working, okay, and we can just check again. See, there's an error. Now they want us to debug and then also identify what the problem was, okay. So we do describe pod and then copy the name of the pod that has an error, and then the namespace. The event section is going to tell you what the problem is. So it failed to pull the image, failed to pull and unpack the image. The repository does not exist, okay, because I just made up the name of the image, which is wrong. It doesn't exist, okay. So we know what the problem is. Now we're gonna roll back, roll out, undo deployment, the name of the deployment, and Neptune, and then let's check if it rolls back. Okay, so now everything is working. It's been rolled back. All right, that's it. So what did we learn in this question? We learned how to create a deployment. And we also learned how to use the set image option to set it using the imperative command. And then we use the rollout history to check how many revisions there were. And then we checked the pods, the running state or the state of the pods, and we knew by looking at this that one of the pods had an error, okay. And then we used the kubectl describe command to figure out exactly what the problem was. And then we roll back to the previously working version, okay. All right, so that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.